What dirty little secret of someone else's have you been dying to tell? Years ago, one of my co-workers was working as an escort on the side. Another girl I worked with found out and hired her for a threesome with her husband. One of my closest friends cross-dresses secretly and doesn't know I know. He's ex-military and had gone to prison. He's a rough guy who grew up with a man's man kind of image. Fixing cars, farm work, metalworking, working out, etc. Found his ex-dressing kit when I was helping him move. Picked up a box that was under his bed and opened it to make sure it wasn't something fragile before I tossed it in a pile. Fake tee, a bra, panties, some dresses folded up with some of his jeans cut to look like Daisy Dukes. I put it back where I found it and picked up some more boxes to take downstairs. None of us would care if he told us, but it's his secret if he wants to keep it. None of us would care if he told us, but it's his secret if he wants to keep it. You're a good friend to keep his secret. Too many other people would doubt him. Friend of mine has never had a relationship, claims to never have wanted one. He got real blackout drunk a few years back and told me the loneliness has basically killed him on the inside and he's just waiting to die. He's a good person. Very nice, humble and respectful. So since he's told me every time he jokes about something or the subject comes up and he says with a cocksure grin that he doesn't want one and that it will never work out, that sentence echoes in my head. He just changes the subject, carries on, and I don't think he remembers telling me that. I know a guy who made over $1 million in precious metal recover from old factories and managed to get away without reporting it to the IRS. Straight cash. My co-worker let another co-worker titty bang her while her husband was away in the army, whilst another co-worker had sex with her friend in the same room. Jody is always your wife's co-worker. Saw my son's jiu-jitsu instructor trying to find trans women on a fetish dating site while his girlfriend was back home in Brazil. That was the day I decided that this is in fact a small world. I know this married guy with kids who travels all the time, like 10 cities in the last 12 months, gone for a week at a time, and he never cheats. He just goes to his hotel room at the end of the workday and hangs out on Reddit. Okay, this is me. I'm boring as crap. Co-worker of mine served time in prison because she watched her boyfriend kill their daughter. She's since had other children and is actually a fantastic mother. I don't know exactly what led up to her daughter being murdered, but I've kept that from our other co-workers for the past 3 years. What the frick? One night, my boss left to go home. I was still working and heard a phone buzz to my left. I looked over and he had left his phone. I thought the buzzing might be him using his wife's phone to try to find it or something along those lines. I picked it up and instead of it being my boss, it is an email reply to a M4M Craigslist ad looking for a femboy. That was 3 months ago. A couple weeks later, my boss was talking to a patient on his phone and handed the phone over to me to schedule him for an appointment. When I hit end call, a Yahoo instant message popped up asking if he was a thick comer. So I'm pretty certain at this point that my boss is trawling for dudes on the internet. Then a few weeks ago I was using his phone again and this time the message was addressed to sir and it said, "From your dress up doll." My boss is a prominent doctor in the community and married to a woman. As far as I know, I am the only one who knows other than him and I guess his boyfriend sub whatever. I just hope his wife knows. If he's that careless, you're probably not the only one. Yes, OMG. I once walked a very drunk friend home to his dorm room in college and just before he got into his room, he pooped himself. Like, all over himself and all onto the floor. It was crazy. He was drunk and crying, he was so mortified. But I got him to the toilet and while he was in there I cleaned it all up. Nobody saw a godman thing. Got him back to his room and he fell asleep immediately. I threw his dirty clothes away in a dumpster on the way home. In the morning he didn't remember any of it, but he was pretty stumped on where his favorite shorts had gone to. I felt so stealthy. Would like to think he would do the same for me. LOL, I guess it's more my secret now. Now you're the type of friend more people need, especially when shoots going down. My ex was into cat stuff, but wouldn't admit it. He considered buying me a $75 set of cat ears and a tail butt plug. He wore a pair of anime cat ears I'd bought the one time on purpose, and he had, like, 2 nipples and 4 milk spots, which are little birthmark looking deals that are the beginnings of nipples. I crap you not. He was weird into cats. I get the ears, not so much the extra nipples. A very prominent business owner once drunkenly confessed to me one night while I was working at a bar that he loved to be dressed like a lady and let his wife peg him. Well, this being a redneck town of 3,000 people, I found it best to let him forget he told me. I wouldn't consider Mr. Leahy a prominent business owner. Some years ago I caught a 15-year-old boy while he was taking naked photos of himself in a bush in the middle of the woods. I didn't know what to say to a naked, embarrassed boy in the middle of the woods, so I just said good morning and went on with my walk. Every time I see him around the town he looks at me terrified. I'm late to the game here, but recently my boss sent me a long email confessing his love for me. He's in his mid-60s with 3 grown children and he is married to a very successful woman. I'm 26, also married. I quit the same week he sent me that email. I was planning on leaving his firm anyways. I work in an industry that is dominated by men and I don't want my career ruined before it's even started. Proper thing. I wish you luck in your career. My stepdad, who is now a Sunday school teacher, confessed one time that during a rough time in his early 20s he sucked a guy's dock for a bump of sea. I'm sorry to tell you this, but you probably misheard him. It wasn't a dock, it was a dong. My favorite teacher ever was my science teacher through junior high from grade 7-9. He was caring and funny and attractive and so relatable. He was married to the home ec teacher and they had a beautiful baby. Also, he was freaking my best friend for the entire time we were in junior high. This is age 13-15. I didn't want to lose my friend's trust, or my favorite teacher, so I never told a soul. At first I read that he was my best freaking friend and thought AWW and then realized what you actually wrote. A former co-worker of mine is a mid-20s lesbian currently engaged to a girl that basically brought her to this area. None of that is the secret. The secret is that she's recently realized she doesn't love her new fiancé. She's actually crushing on her fiancé's best friend but doesn't know what to do. 2 supervisors from that same department played a particularly mean prank on another supervisor. They took the phone of a girl he was crushing on, worked in a sister location, and texted him things that led him to believe she was interested in him. By the time he figured out what happened, the girl was creeped out and he had to submit paperwork to HR. LOL, those supervisors are freaking stupid. My buddy, let's call him Bob, and his wife have been trying to conceive for a while now. The stress got to them last fall, and they split for about 2 months. They make amends in December. Not 2 weeks later they announce they're pregnant. Hooray, right? What he doesn't know is that she hooked up repeatedly with another buddy of ours, let's call him Chuck, during their separation, right up until they got back together. I'm 99% sure the baby is Chuck's and not Bob's. Maybe he knows, but really wants a child. 2 co-workers of mine are bumping uglies. Not only did I catch them coming out of an area they had no business being near, but I have also seen them together in public. They're both married, and the dude and his wife have a newborn. You're gonna feel like real crap when you find out the co-worker is teaching the other one to knit. They were only hanging out in public, going to stores to buy the supplies and spending private time at work demonstrating how to do it. He's gonna surprise his wife with the best home knit sweater ever and you're gonna feel like crap. My friend doesn't know her older brother is adopted. He is tall, dark, and has green eyes while they are short, light, and brown-eyed. Her whole family pretends he just looks like some faraway aunt, but really, he's from Europe. There are no pictures of him younger than 3 while there are tons of her from birth. I think she knows but is in denial. So do you actually know, or are you speculating? Had a job where we had to drive occasionally for work. We had to provide abstracts periodically and carry third-party liability. My co-worker buddy came in one day saying he lost his license from 2 menace speeding tickets. Not a huge deal for the company. There are other drivers. One night we are out for drinks and he tells me that the real reason he lost his license is that he is in the country illegally and his US license is now expired. Now, he was dodging some criminal crap back home and came up to Canada. Nice guy. He assured me it was for some Mickey Mouse crap back home, so I kept his secret. Still up here last I checked. I dunno man, calling it Mickey Mouse crap makes it really sound like it's not. When my ex was a kid he used to get down on all fours and let his dog dry hump him. Well, one day the dog slipped all the way in and finished. There, I've said it. That he likes to suck dong. I'd really like to tell all of our mutual friends, since he took it upon himself to share everything I ever told him with our mutual friends. Sharing his secret would make me just as crappy as he is, so I am telling the whole interwebs instead. I caught my hubby cheating. He doesn't know I know. Keeping that dirty little secret until I get a good plan in order. A holier than thou aunt had a baby when she was around 16 years old after fricking some guy that was passing through the village and took a liking to her. Everything was consensual is what I heard. The baby didn't make it. Apparently the aunt suffocated it and then buried with the help of her mother. All the women in the family know, and when my sister found out she told me, but swore me to secrecy. Can't believe someone I'm related to is capable of something so freaking crappy, but that's the world we live in, I suppose. Yeah, in my country that's called murder. Former best friend participated in a boot party where they curb stomped a homeless man to death. She called me drunk the next morning to laugh about the piece of his skull embedded in her boot. I never spoke to her again. I know groupthink is powerful and that the Sharps are basically a gang, but I could never wrap my head around that one. I'll always be grateful that I wasn't there. A close family friend knocked up an 18-year-old girl while he was on and off again with his high school sweetheart. Now the girl stays in the college town and doesn't really go out. They are trying to keep it from getting out and spreading around our town. He comes back every weekend. He's also quite the frick up. He hasn't graduated from college because he's into drugs, bad crowds and get rich quick schemes. She wants to give it up for adoption. His parents are pushing him to keep it, or at least they will adopt it. They are hoping that his older brother or sister will offer to adopt the kid, I think. Either way, everyone is trying to keep it really hush hush. I'm not sure the high school sweetheart knows. I'm not supposed to know. A friend from high school now makes a living as a Christian mommy blogger and motivational speaker for churches. She makes good $ portraying them as a picture perfect family who overcome their sinful beginnings through Christ. They had a shotgun marriage in high school because she got knocked up. They freaking hate each other. She always has at least one boyfriend on the side. He got through college by making her do all his homework and fill him in on a few highlights to fake it through classes. Apparently, his major was more essay oriented than test oriented, so it was easier to have her do all the work. She did that, took care of their kids by herself, and worked full time while being berated by their church for it because she was stepping outside her proper place in the home, while he ran off to play with his friends, smoke M, and frick H. He finally got around to getting an actual job recently, now that he's been out of college for nearly a decade, but he still spends all his money on drugs, H, and goofing off. The household gets by on my friend's money. She's an absolute insufferable martyr and is the first one to throw stones at people who put up a less Christian facade than she does. Somehow you can tell just from the fake smiles on the family portraits on those blogs. An old and perpetually single friend of mine just finally got a new girlfriend. I had a weird feeling when I met her, so I googled her. Perpetually single. He knows. There's a country music superstar married a woman because she lied about being pregnant, but then lost the baby, so he divorced and annulled it. For some reasons, the lying about the baby thing never got out to the media, and not sure why. One of my co-workers cheated on her boyfriend with our boss. Now that I think about it, I feel like there might be a lot of this in this thread. One of my close friends claims he's been having sex at least once a week since the beginning of the year, with girls that aren't his girlfriend. He says she's too innocent for sex, and doesn't want to hurt her, so he says he sleeps with other girls to fill his needs. I honestly don't believe him 100%, but he's had a rough time lately and has taken a dark turn. Disclaimer: I don't have any feelings for my friend's girlfriend. I'm just a very empathetic person. I have my own girlfriend who I love very much. Meanwhile, this girl is head over heels for him. She talks about him all the time, defends him when the gang teases him, and has never once said anything bad about him. She is so in love with him. She would most likely have sex with him if he just asked. If she knew the truth, it would break her heart. She's one of the nicest and most optimistic people I've ever met. She wouldn't ever hurt a fly. I don't think I've ever seen her get mad or hear her swear, either. The worst part is they're both going away for school and will be long distance, and he plans to break up with her so he can keep on filling those needs of his. Every time I see that poor, naive girl praise him and say how good of a boyfriend he is, I die inside a little bit. Since the thread is a few hours old, I don't expect anyone to see this, but crap, man. I'm really hurting for the poor girl. She's too nice for this. Hey dude, just tell her, privately, if you're close, anonymously if you want. It's better in person. But you know your relationship best. It seems as though your friend isn't being a good person, and that tells you something about his character. Perhaps also something about his value to you. My CO worker friend is totally cheating on his fiancée with different chicks when she's out of town. I sometimes hang out with her and she gloats so much how much other couples look up to their relationship. A recently divorced friend of mine started hooking up with our friend's girlfriend. He got wasted and told me one night. I couldn't say anything because it would literally destroy our entire friend group. I have carried this secret with me for 3 years now. I should also mention the guy being cheated on was generally a huge butthole to his girlfriend, so maybe it was deserved. They're split up now. This happened to me. I ended up telling my friend who was being cheated on, and sure enough, our friend group is no more. A file containing erotic fiction written by a formerly prominent political advisor for his own use came into my possession. It's really poorly written in all the worst ways, and it has poetry. I want to share it so badly, but it would immediately backfire on me. Huge. But it's just, picture doing IT work for the politician you hate the most, and you find on his computer fan fiction starring him and, no crap, your former boss, male, cuckolding him. You have an obligation to this country to let them know who this is. My best friend's sister has no idea who the fathers of her 3 kids are, and she has another on the way. She thinks this one's dad might have been a black guy. Her boyfriend is white. He thinks it's his. She's freaked about delivery day. Oh, and she's 21. Everyone thinks her boyfriend is the dad of all her kids. I know a guy that found out a 22-year-old was having sex with his 15-year-old daughter. There was some coercion involved. He didn't call the cops because the 22-year-old happens to be the son of a cop. So, one day dad finds Dumbass drunk. Dad proceeds to beat the crap out of him, then take a hammer to Dumbass's right hand as a reminder to not touch his daughter again. My understanding is Dumbass said he got jumped by a bunch of guys walking home. Honestly, I'm just impressed Dumbass is still alive. A good friend had money on a bank account in Switzerland to save taxes, and when the new laws were installed he turned himself in. Yeah, it is all clear now, but I am still his only friend who knows it. I've encountered 2 people within my social circle on gay dating apps, Tinder, Grindr, who define themselves very strongly as straight guys, and surprisingly, as soon as I came across their profile, they quickly vanished altogether, and we don't make eye contact in class. It's not a dirty secret, but my ex is trans. She doesn't look trans at all and she's closeted, so none of my friends know. It doesn't really matter because we broke up, but whenever people talk about trans issues, I'm dying to tell them that I have actual personal experience with some of the issues. I'll always keep a secret. Good on you, friend. A lot of these are depressing stories of people being accessories to crime and adultery that's ongoing. It's not my style. I got a buddy who got kicked out of a bar in the red light district in Sydney, a couple of years ago. He was pee off, so he went around back to the employee exit and took a crap outside the doorstep. And by a buddy I mean me. I did that. I'm a taxi driver and one of my regulars drunkenly confessed to me he'd murdered 5 people. He's an old ex-marine, and, funnily enough, I believe him. Apparently some skinheads kidnapped and gang raped his sister. When he found M, shot M, and buried M. I'm pretty sure I've seen that movie. Probably late to this thread, an old co-worker of mine had her live-in mother pass away at home peacefully in bed. This crazy bee then saran wraps her mother to the bed for over a year to keep collecting old age payments. Neighbors called the cops due to the smell. The mother's body was fused to the bed, so they had to take the wall out and bring her out on the mattress she was stuck on. This same crazy lady also had a picture of Jesus on her desk and nothing else. Odd world indeed. 6 years ago, my fiance's sister Gemma got pregnant and then had an abortion secretly. She was 14 at the time. Afterwards, she struggled with her grades, dropped out of several schools, and changed her friendship groups multiple times. Last year, Gemma finally managed to graduate high school from a flexible learning center, but her friendship patterns remain the same, and she can't keep a job. She struggles enormously with her weight and self-esteem issues. She holds everyone at arm's length, choosing to distance herself emotionally, where before she was extremely friendly and outgoing, really valuing her close friends. She also fosters a child, who is the same age as her child would have been had she not had the abortion. This child's mother is still alive and in contact with the child. However, Gemma encourages the child to call her mum. She is overly attached to this child and lives in constant fear of the birth mother taking her baby away. Gemma is mentally unstable and too emotionally immature to properly care for the child, and I really, genuinely fear for both of them. I know Gemma would benefit incredibly from some counseling and support from her family. She has never dealt properly with the loss of her child. I have spoken to her many times, but she isn't willing at all to share her secret with the family, as they are very conservative. I don't want to ruin any relationships, but I know if Gemma continues down this path, it could be very destructive. And now there is a child involved. I want what is best for both of them. I don't know what to do. Suggest to Gemma that she see a counselor. No one else would have to know about this. My dad was in the Navy when they brought Kennedy's body into Bethesda Naval Hospital. He overheard a doctor say, "Where's his brain? Never found it." I was a hunter for many years. I have shot many animals in the head with a high-powered rifle, and there is never a brain in that situation. The speed of the projectile liquefies the brain either from the pressure of the initial impact or as it's being sucked out behind the exiting bullet, or both. This thread got really dark all of a sudden. I have a male friend who creates Facebook profiles impersonating real-life women he happens to know in some facet, and then proceeds to engage in sexual conversations with men while he faps. The scandal that really rises from this is that he's currently in lengthy romantic relationship with a girl. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.